Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to I'll Say Musicals 101's first live stream. I'm John Kenrick, the creator of Musicals 101. I teach, I'm an author, and I'm here with my dear friend of more than 40 years. Oh, my God. SAG and equity actor Bill McKay. And we are here to talk about entertainment, especially about theater and especially about musicals. Bill, anything you want to say to introduce yourself?
I think you just basically did it. I'm an equity actor, you said, and SAG, and I have a master's degree from the Actors Studio Drama School. Bradley Cooper was in the class 2 ahead of me, and I have a master's in teaching, and I'm a successfully unemployed actor. You name the musical, I haven't been in it.
Well,
not that we're hoping to get anything out of this.
I go for it, dude. As for me, I am I've taught at several universities, NYU, at Philadelphia School of the Arts. I taught at the New School, though I never got to teach Bill. And I lecture all around the New York area about theater and film, and especially about musicals. Musicals101.com was something I created back in 1996 because I genuinely believe musicals are one of the most amazing creations of the human race. I think it's one of the things that we can look back on and say, you know what, all the garbage that takes place in the human experience to some extent is justified if you can create a My Fair Lady, a West Side Story, a Hamilton, because everything that the human race does well, from literature to visual art to tech, all comes together in one beautiful art form. Today, we are going to pay tribute to one of my favorite people and everyone who loves musicals loves Julie Andrews. So we're going to start by talking.
I haven't heard of her.
Oh, yeah, right.
You know who doing
haven't heard about her. Boy, what mountaintop have you been twirling on? But we're going to start with a little bio for a couple of minutes. Then we're going to talk about her career. We have some clips of her performing. And then later on, we're going to cover some of the current events in theater and especially in musical theater. So let's get right into Julie's life now. Oh, no. Sorry, wrong clip. Here it is. Now, she was born Julia Elizabeth Wells in 1935, Walton on Thames in Surrey. She became a vaudeville performer at an early age in British music halls because she had a freakish multi-octave soprano voice. She made her Broadway debut in Sandy Wilson's The Boyfriend in 1954. Became a massive star as the original Liza in My Fair Lady. While doing that, she also starred in Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. She was Guinevere in Camelot opposite Richard Burton and Robert Goulet. In 1963, her daughter Emma was born. That's her first husband, Tony Walton. She won an Oscar for her film debut as Mary Poppins, has kept the world singing ever since with her performance in The Sound of Music, one of the most seen films of all time. She starred in Alfred Hitchcock's Torn Curtain opposite Paul Newman. That's not always remembered. She was marvelous in Thoroughly Modern Millie. And although she was marvelous in Star, the movie did not do well, a musical bio of Gertrude Lawrence. She met and married producer Blake Edwards. They married in 1969 and remained devoted to each other. She starred in a TV variety series that won 11 Emmy Awards in its one and only season. That set a record. She co-starred in her husband's film 10. Also bared her breasts in a career-changing moment in his movie S.O.B. The two of them adopted 2 Vietnamese orphans. They went on to make one more great film together, Victor Victoria, one of the great musicals, the last great musical of the 20th century on screen. She did multiple TV specials with her dear friend Carol Burnett, the last one in 1989. Did the stage version of Victor Victoria in 1996, refusing a Tony nomination because no one else involved in that production was nominated. Has been in the Princess Diaries movies and is scheduled to be in yet another sequel that is soon to go into production. She's provided voiceovers in Shrek and in Despicable Me. Her husband, Blake, passed away in 2010. Since then, she has been busy with her daughter, Emma, not only writing children's books, but her autobiography as well. And she provided the narrative voice for the smash hit Netflix series Bridgerton. One of a kind, Julie Andrews. There will never be another like her. I think that's pretty fair to say. Bill, do you remember what the first thing was you ever saw her in?
I would love to say that because I'm a man of a certain age, that I had been watching Sound of Music on TV for years and had only seen Mary Poppins on the occasional thing, and that my parents innocently saw an ad for Sob, the Julie Andrews movie, and brought me there, and therefore seeing Julie Andrews' Hills Come Alive like that, and as she exposed herself, I probably would have been traumatized, which would explain why I'm the gay man I am today. Mm-hmm. But being realistic, I know I saw 101 Dalmatians first. That is in my mother's book about what I saw. I am pretty sure I saw Mary Poppins. In fact, I'm relatively certain because I have worn out the album, which, by the way, John, do you notice that she doesn't look like Mary Poppins on the Mary Poppins album, which is very strange. But I probably saw, in fact, I know I saw Sound of Music. And for those of you who live on Long Island, we would make a reservation to go to that theater. We would have assigned seats. We'd wear ties and jackets. It was amazing. But yes, that was probably my first time, Julie Andrews. And as a result, because those are so prominent, just like many other people, it sticks out in your head as she's the star of that time. And she was.
Well, it changed my life the day I first saw her. I was 4 years old and I was taken to see this new movie, Mary Poppins.
You remember 4? See, I don't remember.
I remember my first memory in life is when I ran into the kitchen to tell my mother that the TV had just announced someone had shot the president. So I remember that. I remember that. So it wasn't too long after that Mary Poppins came along. We went to see it, and I sat there reacting to it like I had never reacted to anything in my life.
I think adults had the same reaction.
Oh, so yeah. At the end of the movie, my mother said, "All right, let's go." And I said, "No." And she said, "Excuse me?" And I said, "No, I'm not going. Forget it. Not going." She said, "We have shopping to do, young man. Come on." I said, "You can go. You can do your shopping. The next screening ends at such and such a time. I'll meet you in front of the theater then." Now, I'm only 4 years old, so that's not going to happen. But Mom was a negotiator, thank heaven. And she said to me, "All right, what song did you like the best?" And I thought about it and said, the Spoonful of Sugar song. Stupid me. I should have said, something later, but she said, "All right, we'll stay until that part. And if you leave then."
Pretty early, John.
Yeah, I know. If we leave then, I will let you come back and see it next week with your aunt and uncle and your cousin. I was like, okay. I took it. I was glued to that movie. Years later, I saw the movie. I didn't see it when it first came out. See, my parents were not that big into musicals. But in 1969, 5 years later, they re-released My Fair Lady to movie theaters a second time. And my parents said, "Oh, you might like this." We went to a theater in Queens that was packed with like 1,500 people, one of those big old vaudeville houses. And the movie was wonderful. And I convinced my parents to let me buy the soundtrack recording the next day. Now, you went into the hardware store to get records then, because hardware stores is where they sold record players. There weren't record stores in Queens in 1969. That you went to Stevens Hardware on Steinway in Astoria, where I grew up, and we asked the guy, "Hey Joe, do you have records of movies?" "Oh yeah, the soundtracks are right over there with the cast recordings." Cast recordings, what are those? And so I go over, and there's the L2M or whatever, and I'm looking through, and there's My Fair Lady, with Rex Harrison and Audrey Hepburn, which is really, of course, not Audrey Hepburn, but okay, lovely, Marnie Nixon. And right behind it was something called the original cast recording, and it had Rex Harrison again, but Mary Poppins was singing the role of Liza. And I'm there going, I didn't know. I was 9 years old. I didn't know about this. And my mother, not realizing she was changing the trajectory of my life, said, "Listen, it's no problem. They're $4.50 each. Just buy them both." This is what my mother would normally do if you were buying shoes or buying a shirt. She'd say, you buy both. You like both, buy both, please. And I'm like, okay. I went home, but it was the performance by Julie. And years later, I got to have a dream fulfilled when I wound up working for two of the producers of Victor Victoria, and got to be involved in the last show that Julie Andrews was involved in.
You were all this prep, and you didn't tell me that you were involved in the prep of the Broadway show Victor Victoria?
Well, the bosses who I worked for, that was Jeffrey Seller, was one of them. These were the guys who also produced Rent. And what they made most of their money with before Rent came along, Kevin McCullum and Jeffrey Seller, they produced national tours. They did a record-breaking national tour of The Sound of Music, starring I'm a little bit country, I'm a little bit rock and roll.
Donny Osmond.
No,
Marie
Osmond, and she set records all across the country. She was a marvelous Maria, actually. If you didn't see her, she was wonderful in The King and I when she did that on Broadway. Well, that was the kind of thing they normally did. Great national tours. Well, they managed the endless national tour of Jekyll and Hyde, and they did the pre-Broadway tour of Victor Victoria. And as a reward, they got to be part of the Broadway production team. And we got tickets to the first, to the dress rehearsal at the hotel.
I'm making a face because
the Marriott Hotel, at the Marriott Theater, and the first time she walked out on stage, I'm there, and my voice is going hoarse. Just made sure that audience made sure. Well, I was there the next night too, because I had bought tickets to the first preview. And if you think the audience at the dress rehearsal was crazy, boy, the audience at the first preview went beyond crazy. They just welcomed her back. But the show was a disappointment. Let's face it. She was wonderful. But her husband, Blake Edwards, was a great filmmaker, not a great theater maker. He had no other experience directing in theater. And while the show was not bad, it's been better since.
It was flat. Until the end, the last 20 minutes, quite frankly, when all the gay stuff begins to happen, that's when suddenly the darn thing came alive. And otherwise, the rest of it, except for her, she was great. Even Rachel York, she sounded so much like the movie. I was kind of like, oh.
Anybody who plays that part has to sound that way. You're essentially playing Jean Harlow, is what you're doing. It's a Jean Harlow character. Let's face it. Or she's right up there with the character in Singing in the Rain. I make more money than Calvin Coolidge put together. That same school. But Julie was wonderful to everybody involved in the production. She was a very classy act. And Lord knows while that's the only musical I've ever seen her in live, I saw her in concert from once she started doing concerts in the 70s, I was there for her first ever concert tour. That was at Westchester Premier Theater. She was awesome. Right. She knew how to keep an audience right in the palm of her hand for a whole evening. But one thing that was wonderful in Victor Victoria she knew how to handle comedy. And people, I think, forget what an amazing comedian she is. We've got a clip from Julie and Carol's final TV show together again.
John
the two of them,
this on because I begged him to put this on,
and I immediately agreed. So Carol and Julie are chums, as they like to put it in real life, and they're right around the same age. They're right around the same life experience. They were both Broadway stars around the same time. And in this scene, they're celebrating their many years of friendship by having an English tea.
In their beautiful designer gown.
In beautiful designer dresses.
Everything's perfect.
Everything's perfect until Julie accidentally, dumps a cream tart down the front of Carol's dress. At which point you have unleashed the comic genius of Carol Burnett. I think Julie definitely holds her own when it comes to comedic flair.
Or you could do something like that. Now that's on purpose.
Yes, I would call that on purpose.
Or you could
Do something like this. And then we could go like
Package for Miss Andrews.
Oh, I'll get it. Oh, what are you looking at?
the cake. That. Oh, it's such a pretty cake. You'll be sorry.
No, I won't.
25 years of friendship. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right, darling. I have the medley to do.
Oh, heck, we can do it.
Listen, I completely forgot about it. Come on, let's get going. Wait, ladies and gentlemen, before we go, I should explain about the medley.
And that's a whole other story.
What's fun besides that is if one of the things when John and I were preparing for this, I kind of got to do the television stuff. And you would think with television, oh, there'd be a ton. And there actually is a ton. But you get to watch Julie Andrews go from the first special, which was at Carnegie Hall. And she's kind of sedate. You know, she's very prim and proper. And that was Cara Burnett's first big thing. So she actually wins the Emmy herself. The show wins, but Cara Burnett wins. Because Julie's, you know, she's nice. You know, she has a few zingers. Then when we get to Lincoln Center, the same thing. Julie Andrews begins to blossom. And she gets more confident. Then we have her series where she's completely, totally fine. And now, of course, when we get to there. So you actually see the actress going from primer, proper, British, to that, where she has plenty to do.
She was so beyond amazing in that series. It's forgotten today.
The television series.
Yes. Well, she had two. She had a sitcom that came and went quickly, which was not memorable. I'm sorry. But her variety show, the Julie Andrews Hour, was the most honored single season in the history of television. I don't think it was beaten for many years to come up with so many Emmy Awards. It had a huge budget. It cost a lot of money. Every week, she had major variety stars. So she would have Jackie Gleason, Robert Goulet would be on, every major singer. There's an unforgettable episode where she has Maria von Trapp on, and Maria von Trapp teaches her how to yodel, which is priceless. And when she asks her, you know, what did you really enjoy the movie of The Sound of Music? She said, I could watch the first 15 minutes every morning for breakfast, which is probably the nicest compliment the real Maria could give a fictional Maria. And she had an unusual twist to her show. Part of it was always done as a sit down chat with whoever the guests were. That was only a couple of years after Angela Lansbury's flop, a wonderful Jerry Herman show that did not do well called Dear World had flopped on Broadway. Well, she came on the Julie Andrews Hour, and it was the one place where she could sing her big number, I Don't Want to Know. That video's online, and people really should check that one out on YouTube. Angela Lansbury, I Don't Want to Know. It will blow you away. And Julie is sitting on one side and other stars on the other. That was the kind of chemistry that she created. She was a perfectionist. In an interview, Phyllis Diller said, if you're going to work with Julie Andrews on that show, be prepared to work, because she will keep looking at you and saying, let's do one more take. Let's do one more take. It was not done with a live audience the way Carol Burnett's show was done. It was done with, you know, in a studio, and then they would add the laugh and applause tracks afterward, because if she was not happy, there would be another take and another take. Robert Goulet was great with that, but apparently not all performers were. It was extra work for the money that you were getting paid. You'd be exhausted.
Is that all of this was up against? First, it was up against Cannon, which was huge ratings, and then they stupidly put it up against Mary Tyler Moore, MASH, that whole evening, and it was done. There was nothing.
Yeah.
I think I watched the Mary. Well, I'm sure I watched the Mary Tyler Moore show. I stuck with the CBS instead of the ABC. It was a shame. They just didn't give it the. They didn't give it the.
They spent. You figure once they spend the money, it was the same thing that they did to Judy Garland. She put on one of the great variety shows of all time. So what did they do? They kept changing her producers. They kept changing her time slot. It was bad enough that she was up against Bonanza when that was like the show everyone had to watch. And that was, I still remember the arguments in our house. Mary, why are you turning from Bonanza? Judy Garland's show is on. And if he doesn't see Judy Garland, we're not going to have peace in this house.
Thank God my parents gave me my own TV. Thank God.
I got that. That was actually the reason I got mine. My dad showed up from work one day with a little, with a nice portable black and white that went into the bedroom with me, and I could watch my Julie Andrews show. I later on, I could watch Judy Garland starting in, it was 1963, I think, she was on. So I was only 4 years old, 63. But
you were watching Judy Garland at 3, huh? 4.
Listen, if anyone was paying attention, they would have known.
Yes.
They would have known. When I wrapped my arms around when I wrapped my arms around, the armrests at the movie theater and said, "I'm not leaving," my mother should have known. She should have known. But she didn't get it. She didn't get it. When I mentioned this to her, she has said, "So it really started that early?" I'm like, "Mom, it started before I ever came out of the womb. Come on."
Well, my total masculinity just completely threw them. So that's how I managed to keep it under wraps. That would be a definite.
What drives me crazy is that people think of Julie Andrews as just being this saccharine, super cutesy wootsy,
Because
nicey-wicey.
they're sticking from The Boyfriend and Camelot and My Fair Lady, and understandably Mary Poppins and The Sound of Music, which is what our group was. We were all just that's who we saw.
But then look at Victoria, where she, wow,
or the thing we just did, where she
SOB and SOB, where she's totally off the wall. I have trouble watching that. I don't want to see those. No, I'm sorry. That bothers me.
These were big clues that you and I were probably not. Not that she wasn't beautiful. Okay, no. Just beautiful. Cast me. Okay.
Oh,
Julie,
God, yes.
For somebody.
If there was ever a woman I found beautiful, she's one of them. She's gorgeous. How do I put this?
But still, she was Maria.
There's just some things I can't unsee, and I don't want to. Yeah, there are certain things I don't want to see. That was
the nuns in the convent would have flogged her, probably. Yes.
Well, that or it depends upon which convent and which nuns.
Yes. The Sisters of Perpetual Purity, who may be watching right now and are probably wondering, why are we discussing this? You can all hitting unsend or dislike.
When she was a friends set her up to meet Blake Edwards. They thought, these two should meet. And he said, "Why would I want to meet Julie Andrews? She's got violets between her legs." Now, that was his actual quote. And then he met her and found out, oh, no, this is a very different experience.
Yeah, she's actually quite, I hate the word to say saucy, but that's what she'll describe herself. She really is. She's not Maria.
No,
but we all want her to be Maria. But you know what I was going to say to you is with Mary Poppins, which, by the way, we were out to dinner with somebody last night, and we were talking about this. I was forcing drinks down his throat so that he would be therefore watching this today. So we plugged him in. So our viewership would go to 12, maybe. I haven't looked at. He said, "Oh, that Sound of Music. That's what she won her Oscar for." And I went, "No." I said, everyone thinks it's for that. It's for Mary Poppins. But this I say to you, now everybody, as you listen to me talk right now, do not start to send me emails and texts and go, "You're a horrible person." And we just watched it again. It's
Sound of Music.
No, Mary Poppins. It's unusual that she won the Oscar for it. And I kept thinking, what is it? Although I'm now pretty sure because she actually sings the part. There's nobody doing it for her because she's very stern through the whole thing, unless she's dancing with Dick Van Dyke in the cartoon. And it's always kind of one note until that final scene. Hold on a second. I'm not doing this for effect, where she this is actually the original Umbrella. But she does that little scene where she looks in the camera, the Umbrella talks to her and says, "You're going to miss the children, aren't you?" And her eyes just slightly swell up with a tear. But it's so one note. It isn't the usual kind of Oscar thing where obviously The Sound of Music, you would expect her to get it. And it's surprising that she won for that, except for the talent is extraordinary. And it was her premiere.
To me, the reason why she won is not just because she sang for herself. I mean, Audrey Hepburn could not be nominated because by then they had made it the rule. If you don't sing yourself, you can't be nominated.
As they should have.
It is funny that the year of West Side Story, Natalie Wood won the Academy Award, but not for West Side Story. She won it for Splendor in the Grass, which she was doing with her then boyfriend, Warren Beatty. Boy, he slept with everybody.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but he always slept with famous people. He had Leslie Caron. He had her. There's the one he wound up with.
Those of you who are listening to this right now, I'm going to interject for just 1 second, okay? Now, this particular week, we're discussing Julie Andrews, so we have to be pure and wholesome and good. But I can assure you that if you stay with us for the months to come, John has many stories that you are going to, your nails are going to curl, and you're going to go, really? How do you know that, John? And you're also going to be fascinated by how he knows all this. So trust me, stick with this broadcast. You will not be
closest there is to a nail curdling story with Julie. She has such a great reputation with coworkers. Everybody who works with her almost always winds up loving her. And if they don't, they're the problem, in my opinion. But when she finished her run in Victoria, she and Blake Edwards primarily moved back to, they have a home in California and a home in Switzerland. And they no longer needed the townhouse that they had kept for many years in New York. Well, she let it be known that whichever broker was going to handle her house would get to do so if they agreed to take zero percentage for doing the job. Now, it's standard in New York, I think, to get a 6% of the sale for the brokers. But the brokers had to agree to take nothing, because in New York, I don't know if you know this, Manhattan real estate, it's a very big deal who your clients are, who have you worked with. And if you can say, I've worked with this person, I've worked with that star, it adds to your patina professionally. Well, it's definitely that someone did finally agree to sell her house for no percentage whatsoever, so she can drive a hell of a hard bargain. There's a rule in theater that's not spoken, but it needs to be known. If you're going to be a woman in this business, especially, you either have to be an absolute B on your own, or you have to have someone who can be an SOB on your behalf. Ethel Merman was a total bitch on wheels. She could eat you alive, no problem. She also eventually ate all of her husbands alive. That's why they never lasted terribly long. Whereas Mary Martin was someone who never would fight back. She had a husband who was an alcoholic, closeted bisexual.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but he was always ready to go boom. He went to war with Noel Coward for her. He went to war with this bird. He could make you regret that you had ever lived if you crossed his wife. You need that. And Julie never had that. She could be her own tough person. She had the strength not to scream or carry on like some stars do, but to simply look and go, that would not make me happy. And that's a very powerful phrase. My friend, I got to know Beverly Sills well, and she said that was her secret in negotiation. That was her secret, was to say, I am not happy. And I said, Julie Andrews has said the same thing. And she said, well, Julie's a very smart woman. And she was. But even as a performer, there's more to her than people, I think, know. I want to share a clip with all of you from Julie's concert years. This is her in performance. It is not a song you expect to hear Julie Andrews do, and it's certainly not in a style. Julie Andrews sings the blues. Judge for yourself. Hold on.
like nobody's loved you. Come rain or come shine, high as a mountain, deep as a river. Come rain or come shine, I I guess when you met me, it was just one of those things. But don't ever bet me, 'cause I'm gonna be true if you'll let me. You're gonna love me like nobody's loved me. Come rain or come shine, happy together, unhappy together. Won't it be fine? Days may be cloudy or sunny. We're in or we're out of the money. But I'm with you always. I'm with you, rain or shine. Come rain or come shine. And won't it be fine? Days may be cloudy or sunny. We're in or we're out of the money. But I'm with you always. I'm with you always. I'm with you, rain or
Not what you expect from Julie.
Extraordinary. It's almost disgusting. First of all, it's a shame that the voice got lost through the surgery. Although, believe me, she's had a rather terrific career since, so that didn't hurt it. But the singing, I'm looking at the singer is so. It's a gift that's beyond. It's amazing. Which is what, of course, all those years of all the plays and the musicals together brought forth. So, almost everybody who's tuning into this probably cares the most about Sound of Music. Let's face it, it's on all the time. And if we happen to be flipping the channel, probably we end up staying with it for at least for a while.
Oh, yeah. I'll just watch it for 10 more minutes. And then an hour later, you're still there and you're still singing along while you're trying to do anything.
I usually hang on definitely the most until the wedding. I just, when she's walking up that aisle and her dress is still 18 rows back and the columns go by and everybody's looking at her. And I said, oh, when I get married, I'd like to do this. Again, I don't think I want to be in the gown, but it would have been nice to have all, and they all genuflect when he goes up. And it's just, when she goes, it's great.
What's hilarious is there are photos of the real Von Trapp wedding which was in the now they married in the 1920s, not 1938, just before the Anschluss. They were together more than a decade by the time Hitler marched into Austria. But when they got married, the real Maria.
Did you realize you're ruining things for me? I did not know that. Damn.
Oh, yeah. She's in a very voluminous wedding dress. And she has a huge bouquet the size of Austria that she's carrying in front of her. And there's a reason for that.
Oh,
That's
don't tell
because
me.
her daughter, Rosemarie, was born 3 weeks after the wedding.
Oh, John, I cannot. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, we have just lost the Sisters of Perpetual Purity right now. They are all hitting on. Unlike they're done. I cannot believe that you just said. Are you sure of this?
Oh, absolutely. God. It's in the the family tried to deny it for years, but it's in their citizenship papers as to who was born when.
All right. Well, John, thank you. That'll give us enough of our dirt for the episode. But really, seriously.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Going back, but I have to. The Do Re Mi number is particularly great. I mean, the director really. I mean, seriously, it's amazing. Of course,
that's magnificent.
And the note she hits. If you listen to the Mary Martin version, it doesn't even come close. I mean,
but I'll tell you something. The Mary Martin version knocked audiences on its butt
because it's lovely. I mean, and it's lovely. It was a beautiful, wholesome thing. Even though she was 52 as a novice, or what was she?
She was in her 40s.
40, okay. As a novice 21-year-old. Obviously, I could do the same thing.
Listen. Dear Evan Hansen is about to turn 30, and he just made the movie as Dear Evan Hansen.
You know what? He looks young. I'm holding on to that.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't.
I'm going to go with
30. He's in great shape. I'll grant him that. He's a nice-looking guy, but he ain't no 16-year-old.
He looks.
Come on.
Okay, I just have to suspend disbelief for this.
Come on. At least Dick Van Dyke was the right age to play the old bank, president.
That was correct. Yes.
In the Mary Poppins sequel, he was the right age to. This time, he didn't need all the makeup. They just combed what was there.
I'm so hopeful for Dear Evan.
I can't believe he got up on that table. But anyway, that was amazing. I do want to throw in one more clip since we've mentioned Sound of Music before we get to current events, because we have lots to say on that, I'm sure. I want to add one more clip. When it had been announced to the world that Julie's years of performing, of singing were at an end, they gave her the richly deserved Kennedy Center honors,
which is always a great show. And if you don't cry at least for one of them, there's something wrong with you. Yes.
Well, to me, the best tribute ever given, and there were some wonderful ones, but this one in particular is when Rebecca Luker, who had just starred in the revival on Broadway of Sound of Music, and I got to meet her. What a wonderful, wonderful star.
What John is, by the way, saying we lost Rebecca Luker recently, sadly.
Just last year. She had Lou Gehrig's disease, but she comes out. So does Audra McDonald. So does Robert Goulet, Jeremy Irons. It's an all-star lineup, and they leave not just the audience in tears, but they left Julie in tears too.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rebecca Luker.
To beat like the wings of the birds that rise from the lake to the trees. My heart wants to sigh like a chime that flies from a church on a breeze, to laugh like a brook when it trips and falls over stones on its way, to sing through the night like a lark who is learning to pray.
And there she is with Luciano Pavarotti on one side of her and Jack Nicholson on the other. Jack Nicholson winds up handing her his handkerchief, which is like so cute, him being Mr. Nice Guy.
Of all the awards, and obviously I would sell body parts to get an Oscar and a Tony. Okay, and that's, you know, normal, any actor would. But to get the Kennedy Center honor, it just the way they present each time, and it's really lovely.
Well, apparently all you have to do to get one now is write 2 hit musicals.
Well, yeah. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I love LinManuel Miranda. I love In the Heights. I love Hamilton. You do not give a Lifetime Achievement Award to a man who's written 2 shows. That is an insult to everyone else. Richard Rodgers put in more than 50 musicals on Broadway to get a Kennedy Center honor. Carol Channing put 5 decades of her life into performing on stage and never got a Kennedy Center honor. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Because if you're not
just honoring Hamilton. Again, I would love to be.
You don't. No, they don't honor a show. You honor people. They've never honored an entity other than a person.
Yeah, they did not.
They honored him. And you know what? What are they going to do when he's 70? They're not going to have anything left to give him. They already did it.
Because he probably will at that point have a lot more. He's actually done an awful lot.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you know what? He should be. If you want something done, give it to a busy person, and that's him. So news from London, Hairspray, the revival opened to rave reviews and promptly stopped performances due to COVID. COVID broke out in the cast and all performances have been stopped until mid-July. So this is, I think, a warning to us. I'm glad Broadway is
they started up and then it went down again.
They opened the new production of Hairspray. The newspapers raved, and then just 2 days ago, the show was shut down.
Well, that's okay.
It's a darn good thing that that Broadway is taking its sweet time to get started, because there are going to be bumps. With pandemics, there are bumps. The 1918 pandemic lasted until 1921. It kept coming back, a little weaker each year and a little less deadly each year. But it still kept coming back and still kept killing people. You know, these things don't just disappear easily. Big news also this week: Bill Condon is going to direct a movie remake of Guys and Dolls. This man is responsible for some wonderful filmmaking, including I loved the live Beauty and the Beast, which he directed. And he also
Chicago and Dreamgirls.
Chicago.
He wrote that, and then Dreamgirls. He directed.
And Dreamgirls. If you've got Chicago, Dreamgirls, and the live Beauty and the Beast, wow. So hopefully this Guys and Dolls will fix the things that were wrong with the first version.
Well, one would hope that they'll get people who could sing the parts. That's a good start.
Hey,
part of me was wondering, do we really need it? You know, I don't know. I have mixed thoughts. We'll
notice each of the movies he's been involved with, everybody did their own singing. Aha. That says something. So I think that's what the kind of thing he's going to aim for. And we need some class in screen musicals right now. Enough with the dubbing and the sweetening and the nonsense. Let's have real performers. Thank you. Sarah Bareilles is coming back to Broadway, bringing Waitress back. That is so cool.
It's actually, you know, she's only going to be in it a little while.
Yeah.
But her ability as an actress has like really begun to blossom. I don't even like to say begun, is blossoming. And if you don't know, Sarah Bareilles wrote Waitress.
Yes.
So she has her own heart in it. That was the same year as Hamilton. So the poor thing, you know, all the Tonys did nothing went to Waitress, which is actually, it's still a very sweet. I like the score very much.
You know what? She's cried all the way to the bank with that show.
It ran a long time. It ran a long time.
I'm guessing that
now running again.
I'm guessing that bringing it back will then turn into another national tour, which would make sense because that show can make money wherever it chooses to go. There are people bitching because Hamilton is getting $30 million from the federal government, and it may go up higher. Every Broadway show and national company is eligible for up to $10 million to cover the expenses of reopening and of having kept people, on any kind of coverage. And people are like, oh my God, the producers of Hamilton are going to clean up. This is disgusting. No, it's not disgusting. In my opinion, anyway. I mean, you tell me what you think, Bill.
Well,
but
people have to. I'm just going to interrupt you briefly. They have people. I think you were going to say this. People, you have to remember that $10 million isn't going to Lynn and isn't going to the producers.
Nope.
It is going to keep everybody who didn't get to work alive. To which you're thinking, oh, you mean the actors? No, it's the stuff you don't even think of. The dry cleaners who did the costumes. Okay, those places went out of business. The vocal coaches went out of business. The costumers, the catering that has to be done. For instance, the waitress. There's real pies in there. Those are real people. All of whom lost their jobs. That's what the money is going for.
Let me give you one other
working.
Let me give you two basic statistics. One, a 2-person Broadway show. So let's say the upcoming revival of Plaza Suite with Sarah Jessica Parker and Matthew Broderick. Aside from the 2 actors, there's about 140 jobs involved in that show. Each of those people is waiting to get back to work. That means everybody from the box office to the ushers to the crew backstage. And the bigger a show is, the more people you add in. A large musical, throw in the orchestra, throw in the chorus, throw in the fact that there are more stagehands for a more technically advanced show. And in the case of Hamilton, the rent on the Richard Rodgers Theater has been over $750,000 for a year. And that's got to be paid. And there's been no money coming in. Now you could say, oh, but Hamilton made millions. Yeah, but when it's all going out and there's nothing coming in, it don't matter what you made last year. It matters that you have nothing coming in. And they didn't just pile money up in a bank account somewhere. What Hamilton did was it kept all of the actors, all of the staff on their insurance at the show's expense. The New York cast, the road companies, all of those, that's a lot of people and that's a lot of jobs. New York City, hello, New York, $13 billion is spent on tickets to Broadway shows. And that's a fraction of what Broadway brings into New York's economy. It's estimated that 96,000 jobs exist in New York because of the theater. That means hotel jobs, restaurants,
Long Island
shops.
Railroad, the subway. You don't think of it. We have to think about what you do. When I come into the city with my husband, that's the Long Island Railroad. I usually hit Macy's or Bloomingdale's, the dinner. If we stayed overnight, the hotel, whatever you're going to buy, people don't, that $10 million, you're going to be shocked, is going to way more than, in fact, it's not going to Lynn. It is going to try to get all of this back up again. How many hotels have closed? John, the Hilton closed. The Hilton, that big tall, it's gone.
There are restaurants. Some of my favorite places are gone in the city, and they're not coming back.
Shows aren't opening again to September, so we've now lost summer again.
Now, the other thing that was fun today, Playbill.com put out their updated list of Broadway musicals that are being adapted for the screen right now. We know Dear Evan Hansen's coming out soon. West Side Story, Tick, Tick, Boom. That may be interesting. There's a musical version of Cyrano that was done off Broadway, starring Peter Dinklage.
But Christopher. Oh, wait. Oh, also doing that because Christopher Plummer was the original, bringing back Julie Andrews into the whole picture. Right. You see how I did that? It's so
fun. Well done. But Christopher Plummer's Cyrano, which was back in the 70s,
won him a Tony.
I love it. Yes, he won his Tony for Best Actor in a Musical. The man who they dubbed in Sound of Music. Well, Peter Dinklage, the guy from Game of Thrones who played, the imp, plays Cyrano. He got wonderful reviews with this off-Broadway. Well, they're making a movie version of it. Rob Marshall is filming Little Mermaid in a live-action version for Disney. I hope it is not going to be like that TV special they did. Which I'm sorry, that was an abortion. That was just, good God. It was one embarrassment.
Tell us how you really feel, because I don't think you're expressing your opinions.
Sorry, spare us. Don't destroy Disney. Just do it with some love. Melissa McCarthy is playing Ursula. I'll look forward to that.
Oh,
they're filming Be More Chill. Why? No one
Is that
wanted
the, is that the rap?
Be
the rap
More
one?
No, Be More Chill is the one that became a hit with a lot of internet following. But when it came to Broadway, there was no
It
audience
didn't
for
do
it.
well. It was yes. Okay.
There
Yes.
was no audience for it.
Yes. It was last
So I
season.
don't know why. I don't know. I know some of my former students are involved in it, so I wish it well. But they're making a movie version of that. They're making a movie version of Follies. They've been making a movie version of Follies since 1973. So I don't know if that will go anywhere. But where is that money going to come from?
Well, then that's good, because if you're an actress of a certain age, then you're gonna probably get into that one.
Tons of them. That
Right.
one thing is, no, it's never a problem casting Follies. There was always a lot of old actors looking for a good gig.
Actors of a certain age.
Yes. Gypsy. They're still trying to push that. And
It
even
was
though
supposed to be
Streisand,
Barbara Streisand. Yeah.
right. Well, listen, Barbara is divine, but she is no
Just be careful where
longer-
we're going right now.
She's no longer up to doing
Oh, God.
Mama Rose.
I
She
don't
really
feel
is-
that way. Barbara Streisand can do anything she wants.
Please.
No. Barbara Streisand cannot still do anything.
I'm sure that
She is a brilliant woman, and she knows she's not stupid. She is not going to humiliate herself by trying to take on that role vocally at this point. It just wouldn't make sense.
Maybe she could
Jekyll
play.
and Hyde.
She could play one of the strippers. She'd be great.
Who?
Can't you picture her?
Streisand as a stripper?
Yes, one of the strippers.
She'd be hilarious as Mazeppa.
And everybody would.
One more disparaging remark about my routine. Yes.
You should get Streisand, Lupone, and Peters or something.
No, I think Nathan Lane should play one of the strippers. What the hell? Let's go for
Oh,
it.
John, we're going for really good casting. I'm very
have
proud
fun.
of you.
I love
That
Nathan.
would be good too.
A remake of The King and I, no casting announced, no crew announced. Oliver remake, Pippin is coming. South Pacific, gee, we're going to make a third lousy version of South Pacific. We've got the lousy movie with those color filters that make you want to run out of the theater because your eyes are tired. We've got the TV version where the only thing that mattered was one man's bare chest. That was the only thing worth watching in that thing. Even Glenn,
It was a
Glenn
pleasure to
Close
watch
made
that.
up. Glenn Close was too old to play the
my
part,
God.
even by Mary Martin standards. And you had a leading man who couldn't sing, couldn't act, and had the sex appeal of a cold clam.
I'm never going to work again.
Yeah, well, that's okay. No. Glenn Close is a great lady, and she is one of my favorite performers. but that
And
was
we
not
know that Glenn
her best-
Close is about to do.
Right.
What is she about to do?
Which? There's
Glenn
always
Close,
something.
She's
Which?
about to do in the movies. If it's not happening now, she's doing Sunset Boulevard. She's
Well, and that's been happening for 10 years.
yes, but it really is happening. And somebody
now she's old enough.
somebody
She's
on
old enough
Facebook
for that
suggested
character.
Bradley Cooper as the William Holden part. I don't know his name. I should know that.
That would work. That would work.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Well, this South Pacific is supposed to star Hugh Jackman.
Oh.
Justin Timberlake will be cast in it. They're not saying which role, but I'm assuming he's going
Oh,
to be.
please. Yes.
Yeah.
We kiss in the
And-
shadows. Yeah, he'll do that.
Right. No. That's King and
What's he
I.
gonna play?
You're
Oh, I'm
thinking
sorry.
of
He's
younger
gonna
than
do,
springtime.
yeah, no,
Are
that's Springtime.
you?
Oh my
You're
God.
not-
Do you have any
you're not
people that play-
sexy like
This man doesn't know
Nutella.
what he's talking about. Yeah.
And wait a minute. The leading lady, Michelle Williams.
Yes.
Michelle Williams. Now, I love
Really?
her. My question is, I've never heard her sing. I've loved
Well,
her
she
since
sang-
Dawson's Creek.
She sang on the TV movie of the Fosse movie. She did that, which was
Right,
I don't
right.
think it was called Fosse. It was called Gwen, and you know, but
Fosse
okay.
Verdon.
Right, yes, and she was.
She was
you know,
magnificent.
I've said this to you. I'm aware of the time, by the way. I'm a big fan. And by the way, John has a lot of cats, which you can see is happening as he goes. So don't be alarmed. There's nothing.
Oh yeah,
weird
there are
happening
cats
here.
in this house.
He is not giving his tribute to cats. Where was I? I'm a big believer in when I hear somebody's been cast in something. As much as sometimes I might roll my eyes, for example, they are also going to do Annie live on, I think, NBC at probably Thanksgiving time. Hold it, John. Take a breath or just zip it. Taraji P. Henson is going to be Miss Hannigan, but they have announced that, hold on, I have it here. Harry Connick Jr. is going to be Daddy Warbucks. And there's stop it, John. there has to be a belief that sometimes a lot of the Oscars go when somebody gives a performance that you don't expect, that they surprise us. And so I'm just going to blot you out on this side of the screen. And so I'm a big believer that we have to give somebody a chance. Now, hopefully they're not going to cast a cat as the part of the dog so that we can, give everybody an equal opportunity. But we have to give everyone a shot. They could surprise us. So I think Michelle Williams is an interesting and very interesting choice. And I'm not against that. Okay, John, say what you'd like to say about Annie. Annie, by the way, dear audience members, is John's favorite all-time show.
It's one of them. It's one of them. I mean, My Fair Lady is still the ultimate, but Annie is the one that I will.
Wait, what's the ultimate? What's the ultimate?
It's my guilty pleasure.
Wait, what's your ultimate?
My Fair Lady. If I had to pick,
know that.
If I had to die with one musical to watch before I die, it's going to be Put My Fair Lady on.
Okay, good to know. But I'm just saying that a performance could surprise us. But
every revival of Annie has been a disappointment on Broadway. And every screen version has been a disappointment. That last movie version, everybody involved in it should face criminal prosecution.
Which one are we dealing with? The TV?
The last big screen version. Everyone involved in the last
Carbonet?
No, that was the first Annie
there was
movie.
Another one?
Then there was the TV version, which I thought was good but brief. I liked it, and that one I have in the house. And then there was the remake of Annie.
Do you know that I don't remember this, which therefore says something about it?
You know what? You're lucky. You're lucky. If you have a choice between watching the last remake of Annie and going down in a plane, go down in the goddamn plane. Because no one trusts Annie. Leave it alone. It is a brilliant, entertaining show.
Any references to my looking for JetBlue are completely out of sight at this particular moment. Because we don't want
Miss
any of our
Hannigan
planes
needs
to go
be
down.
funny, and Daddy Warbucks needs to be able to act.
And
I don't want to see Harry Connick Jr. bald. I want to see him shirtless occasionally, but I don't want to see him bald. I don't want to see him try to act, and I don't want to see what they're going to do to that little girl and that dog. It's going to be ghastly. I am officially predicting right here. We will review it when it is done, and we'll discuss it here on this new webcast. I promise.
First, I will take Valium.
And so in upcoming weeks and months, we are going to have an episode covering the Tonys whenever they finally happen.
I have a date for that. It's September 26th. Wait, I just have to comment. Can I comment for a second?
Sure.
Those of you who want to watch the Tonys, you really can't, because CBS has decided, and I'm hoping the industry, that all the awards except for 3 will be on Paramount Premiere, whatever it's called. Which is
it's a streaming service.
You have to stream. You have to pay for that. So all the awards except for 3 will be something you have to pay for. Therefore, the general world will not get to see these things. Then for 2 hours, CBS will give you a concert honoring theater coming back and give you Best Musical, Best Play, and Best Play Revival. To say that I want to vomit outside my ears in fury is not, it doesn't cover it all. I'm not happy. I think this is a big mistake.
In a year, in a world, in a year where none of the nominees for Best Score are musicals, who the F cares about these Tonys? Why should we care? These aren't Tonys. These are a cheap promo event. They should be ashamed of themselves for holding the Tony Awards this year. Simply ashamed. It's a scandal. I think it's a total disgrace and an insult to those of us who've spent a lifetime loving this thing we call theater. You're going to tell me that all the musicals now are jukebox shows? Well, guess what? Yeah, they are. Why bother having a Best Musical Award? Why bother having the Tonys? There's nothing to celebrate. Oh, now, yes. Oh, yeah. I'm going to hear about all the people who love Jagged Little Pill. God bless you.
Good.
I'm going to hear from all the people who love Moulin Rouge. God bless you. But I'm sorry,
Tina Turner, the musical.
And we need musicals with original scores.
Well,
God
they didn't get a
forbid.
chance. They didn't get a chance to open yet, so therefore, at least we're honoring that batch. And we have the plays. Remember, there's some really good plays that, including Inheritance, which is we would love to see up there. A slave play. These are big things. Okay, moving on. Oh, we're
a non-year. Listen, you can't give an award for a year that didn't happen. It's ridiculous. They should have stuck that the third of a season that we had on to next year. They should have done that. But no, they didn't have that much dignity. They didn't. The Tonys have just, I'm just so tired of it. Just tired. So
but I still would be very happy to be nominated for one should the opportunity arise.
You know what? When I was Fran Weisler's assistant,
he was Fran Weisler's assistant. Again, something we'll be able to talk about. Would you please tell us what Fran Weisler has produced?
Fran Weisler is the Tony Award-winning producer, along with her husband Barry, of some of the most successful revivals of all time, including the Endless Revival of Chicago. Yes. I worked with her on the revival of Grease. They won a Tony for Topol's Fiddler on the Roof, among other shows. Well, she had her collection of Tonys in her office, and it was my job to polish and oil them on a regular basis. So she said, John, just
putting that college degree to use.
Just make sure they always spin. I want to know if I want to show them off to someone that they're going to spin. And it's not easy because as they get older, they're not the best piece of technology. It's a crappy little plastic stand holding a metal disc. So you've got to WD-40 those suckers all the time. And I'd have to go in there and go, wee. So you know what? When you've played with them like I did for a while, eventually it's like they're demystified. They're delightful, but they're demystified.
Okay, may I be so cursed. So yes, no.
May it only be from my lips to your shelf.
Thank you. Yes.
So we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to thank the people who tuned in for this first ever webcast on our series. It's been a delight doing it. Bill, I have loved you as a friend for years, and it's been great sharing this. We're going to do this again probably next week.
Many topics to come. And based on what I just experienced talking to you, John, we'll try to pick the ones that really get him revved up because that's interesting. But I just want to promise you, whatever week we do Carol Channing, he will deliver a little piece of information that will actually make you go, what? Okay, I promise you that he knows so much stuff. That one is going, just trust me, okay? I know that's a bit of a teaser, but trust me, stick with us. There's
tons. There's tons. Just tell stories about knowing her at the Russian tea room and working on
that's not the one, John. You know what I mean.
I know the one you mean, but I'm not going to ruin it. I'm not going to ruin it. There's
going
tons of good stuff.
And I can't wait to talk about the men of Broadway.
You don't even know the legend about her in the ladies' room at the Waldorf. That's a hilarious one, too. So anyway, we will be announcing it shortly. If anyone wants to get notice of this, you can just email me through through our website, musicals101.com, musicals101.com. Go to that website. You'll find an email link there. We will probably be back here on YouTube next Thursday. At least that's what we're hoping for. Hurricanes and power outages permitting. And we will announce a topic in the meantime. All of you, please stay safe out there. This COVID thing is easing, but it's not gone. We're men of a certain age at 60 something. We're vaccinated, baby.
Don, I'm 30, aren't I? 40?
No, your IQ is much higher than that, Bill, and you know it.
God. But I cast younger. I definitely cast younger.
I am 61 and I look every inch of it and I like it. And I'm proud of it. Please, you think I
want to be the dad in Dear Evan Hansen. What's he, 35? If he could be, I'd be the right age to be his dad in the movie, probably.
At this point, I'd be happy to play Ben Franklin in a community theater production of 1776.
You actually would be very good. I'm going to stop talking now. Okay.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everyone. Stay well and keep loving musicals because that's part of what makes life joyful. Thank you all so much for being here today. Bye-bye now.
Bye.